Hello.
Hi. Hey,
I'm late.
how are you?
I'm great. I'm good. 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 How are you?
Yeah, pretty. Kind of want to start talking about your exchange. So, yeah, can you give like a bit of background, like whereabouts you went and for how long, that kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah, I went on exchange in 2016. I think August. Just for the semester. I returned at the start of January to Italy. So I lived in Milan, or like a small town outside of Milan, maybe like 20 minutes away.
Awesome. So like, why did you decide to go to Italy? Like, what?
Um, So I think partly when I first decided that I wanted to do an exchange, I knew that it was going to be very hard to convince my parents, and it was honestly the cheapest option. So I was like, this will be the easiest way to convince them. But also besides that, Italy is just one of those places which we hear so much about. Like the culture is so kind of famous. Just even like the stereotypes are so well known, and we see so many movies and TV shows and whatnot about it. So it was just like attractive to me, like the idea of going and actually seeing that famous country, which is why I went to Italy. I didn't really know anything besides that.
Cool. Awesome. So like, how did you find this school? Because it would have been pretty different, right, from like Australia?
Yes,
Because like for
it's
me,
so
it was pretty
extremely
like
different.
old fashioned. I don't know. Like, how did you?
Yeah, where in Italy were you?
I was like near the center, but I feel like school's kind of similar. Like,
Yeah, no, it's
but
I think it's the
yeah,
same across. So Italian school was definitely the most different part and probably the worst part of the experience. Not even awful, because I would be sitting there in class
it
like
is boring.
dying of boredom.
Yeah, because you just
Yeah,
don't understand anything, so it's just like
exactly, exactly. And it's just so different because the relationship between teachers and students is so different. Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
come in to teach you, they leave. There's not much like you in my schools. You'd have a bit of banter or like a friendly relationship with the teachers. There wasn't any of that, so it was very kind of academic and robotic. Like
Like, did you have to stand up when they walk in?
did
You do
I?
that? Oh,
I don't know. I think for a couple of teachers, I
oh
don't
yeah,
remember exactly. I've got a bad memory. I'm sorry,
yeah. It was.
but it was stuff like that, and even stuff like the school. There wasn't kind of a sense of community in the school. I'm just assuming it's probably similar in New Zealand schools, but they have like school activities, or there's lots of stuff where you bond with the rest of your year level.
You like
But like
coke? Yeah.
the classes were so isolated, and like people didn't interact with each other. It was just very weird and yeah, boring, just straight up boring.
Do you go to like a science school? What's?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I
So
think
that's the other thing, I guess.
yeah, because I was in like I think it's like a Scientifica or something. But yeah,
Yeah,
like those are the most academic. So I probably should have like asked to be in another type, so I could have like done more. But yeah,
I think that's the main type. Like, I can't remember what exactly they are. There's like maybe an art one.
yeah.
I can't
Okay.
remember, but
Classic,
yeah.
classic. I don't know. What about your host family? Did you stay with one family the whole time? Or
Yeah, so there's one host family for the semester, and they were awesome. It was obviously terrifying. Like, that first day when you arrive and you have to meet them is like top 10 sickening moments. Like,
no, that's like you
I'm
like
like,
go over like how are you gonna say hi? Like how are you gonna greet them? Like
oh, exactly. I'm like, am I supposed to hug them? Like, what do I do? And I'm like, do I just shake hands with the host mom? I don't know. It's just, I'm on the train going there feeling, I still remember that feeling of just wanting to die and feeling so absolutely sick. But no, they were awesome for the most part. I had a couple of issues with my siblings, but
okay, how old are your host siblings?
so I had one that was my age exactly.
Oh yeah.
So he was in my one. I was in two classes, and he was in one of them. One who was a few years younger.
Was there anything that like shocked you or like what were the biggest differences for you like when you went to Italy?
Just between the two countries.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Or like do you have like habits that you've brought back? Like for me, I'll eat dinner like really late now because it just feels weird to eat at
really?
6. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I had a couple of food ones. Like we had bread with every meal,
Yeah.
and so I got back and I was like, "Where's the bread? Where's the bread?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm still
Like
to this day, I'm obsessed with bread.
do you have olive oil with everything? Or
No, but true, that's something I miss.
yeah.
Yeah. Another one like gnocchi. I had never really eaten gnocchi, but now I love it.
Yeah.
Since being in Italy, and even just kind of having like multiple steps to the meal. Like my meals, I actually found living in the north of Italy, like the food was something which everyone always asks about in terms of Italy, but I
Yeah.
actually didn't find it that exciting or
Really.
extravagant. It was pretty because my host parents were both working and busy.
Right, right.
But there was always like aspects and different layers to it. So they'd bring out like a couple of bits of meat and then like a couple pieces of
Yeah.
bread or whatever. Rather than here, I just had like one main meal.
Yeah, I think it's more like going out or like special occasions. That's when they do like their proper
True,
like
true, true.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, oh, what about like learning Italian? Had you already studied it before you?
No, no, I didn't know it at all. So I learned Indonesian at school, and then decided to go to Italy. I did like a bit of Duolingo, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's just so hard, and you don't know what you're going to need to know or anything. So I tried to do a bit, but then I got there and spent a lot of time. I bought a couple of grammar books or like a dictionary,
Yeah.
and I spent a lot of time doing that, like writing down new words. Or that was just always fun, just like asking people different words. And I didn't actually feel like I learned that much because I was shocked by how many people knew English. Did you find that also?
Not really. I think they knew it, but they didn't like speaking it, or they preferred to speak in Italian.
Well, yeah, that's true. But like I'd go into a shop and try and speak Italian, like order an ice cream in Italian. And they'd be like, okay, this dude's clearly not Italian. I'm just going to respond in English. I'm like, no, I want to speak Italian.
Maybe they're like used to tourists, so they're like,
Well, yeah, probably
like a
though.
super small town. Like literally, there's no other exchange students anywhere near
Oh,
me.
you were in that?
Yeah, like it was like a really small town, so I don't think they knew much English.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was the difference.
So like when you went back, did you have to go back to school, or like how old were you?
Yeah, so I went in like the second half of year 10, and that was part of the reason I went, because year 10 is just one of those. I don't know if you guys have the same year levels, do you?
I think we have one more year, so we have year 13.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know, like, do you have intermediate, or was it like middle school?
No.
Oh,
So we just have like primary school, which is prep to grade 6, and then high school, which is 7 to 12.
okay. Yeah, so I think we
Yeah.
do one more year than you, I think.
Fun. But no, because year 10, I don't know if it's the same, but year 10 is just kind of a dud year. It's not super necessary. I also didn't love school at the time, and I was like, I just kind of wanted to escape. So I came back and was able to do the last 2 years, which are important, very easily.
Yeah, because you went for like, was it a semester, so you didn't miss that much. Yeah.
No, by the end though, I was like literally begging my parents. I was like, please let me stay. I don't want to come back. Like
Oh,
I've set up
really?
a whole new. Yeah, well, not even because I was that loving it that much. I mean, it was, but it was more like it just felt so weird to come home because I felt like I'd set up this whole life. I was like, I don't want to come back to this random. I don't know.
When
So,
I went back, like it was like everyone was just doing the same thing, and it was like exactly the same. And then like you
yeah,
feel like you've done so much stuff, eh?
yeah, legit. Yeah, and it's just weird because it's like you step through a time portal when you come back. Not even a time portal, just a weird portal, and immediately this whole life you had just set up is like disappeared into the background,
Okay.
and that hardly exists anymore. It's so weird.
Yeah. Okay. I know from your YouTube, you used to work at Macca's, right? I don't know. Do you still work there?
No, I left about a year ago,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I like because I worked in fast food as well, and I feel like it actually teaches you so much. Like everyone should work in fast food, eh? Like it makes
Yes, I agree. I recommend the two things I recommend are working at McDonald's and going to exchange.
Yeah, yeah,
I loved it.
yeah, yeah. What else? Okay, I wanted to ask about your podcast as well because I know it's with your friend Ali, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, how did that come about?
sure. So,
Like, was it
I
your
guess,
idea, or was it did
yeah,
and
it
then
was my idea because I guess it's one of those things where I feel like everyone at some point says, like with a friend, they want to start a podcast, especially now. It's very much like a thing to joke about.
Yeah.
But Ali is my friend. She's my best friend, and she's like pretty crazy just in terms of like her experiences and stuff. So I was like, you need to make a YouTube channel and do like story times about this, and she never would. So I was like, let's start a podcast. We'll like talk about these crazy stories. We'll talk about just any random stuff. So basically it's like a youth podcast. We talk about world issues concerning young people, opinions on it. And yeah, it was just a bit of fun, but it's kind of lasted and been enjoyable.
Yeah. It's weird, like you guys are obviously close, but then you like seem to disagree on so many things. Or like you just like have
Have
like
you listened to it? Well, that's the other reason I kind of wanted to do it is because it's called the Undecided Gen Z, because basically on the idea that, we're still young, we're undecided on everything,
Yeah.
but we are very, very different kind of people. So we do tend to like get into a bit of debates around some stuff, which we're like trying to simmer back because some people have told us it's a bit too intense.
No, I think it's good. Like it's I don't know, it's interesting. But yeah,
Thanks.
I think there was one episode you kind of talked about how you never really struggled with motivation. Because I recently like came across this idea.
Oh yeah.
Like this idea that motivation is a myth and like what you really need is discipline. Because you know how like sometimes you don't feel like doing stuff, but if you're like disciplined, then you just like put in the time and you get it done. So I don't know, like what do you feel about that?
I don't know where you got that from, but I feel like I started to read a book maybe sometime which mentioned that concept. I can't remember where from, but yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I think my kind of personal issue is I have so much I don't know if motivation is the right word, but I have so many ambitions and stuff that I want to do, and I'm motivated to do them, but then I struggle to have the discipline to actually make myself do that.
Right.
But discipline is actually one thing which I've been really trying to work on this year, like just that word,
Yeah.
because I do think it is so critical to doing anything. Yeah, no, I love that concept.
Okay, so you also have this video where like you cover yourself in Nutella. And it's
Yes.
like weird but also like kind of hilarious. Because you were living with a host family, right? So how do you
Yeah.
get away with that? Like did they not find out, or like did they not see you?
So what happened there is my host parents were out,
Oh right, okay.
and I hadn't mentioned to them that I had a YouTube channel at the time,
Oh yeah.
because I was just kind of making videos not
Yeah.
underground, like just to the side. I just had this random idea to cover myself in Nutella because I needed YouTube content while I was in Italy. And I was like, it's very relevant to Italy.
Yeah.
And so I went into, they had like this little basement thing. So I just got my Nutella and I actually asked my host brother for a bucket. And he asked me why. And I was like, oh, I'm just a record. So I went downstairs and like locked it
Uh,
and just recorded the video downstairs.
then like how did you wash it off? Like did you have to go back like to the bathroom?
Yeah, well, that was funny. So I came back up the stairs and I was dripping from head to toe
Yeah.
Nutella. So I actually had to knock and scream to get my host
Oh
brothers to come. And they were like horrified.
yeah, well they're like, what the hell are you doing?
Legit, one of them was quite
Yeah.
annoyed about it. But fortunately, the bathroom was like right there. So they were
Okay.
like, what are you doing? And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. I just went into the shower and struggled and washed it off.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
Just
But
yeah.
then the host parents, they didn't mention anything directly to me, but I think they kind of enjoyed it because it was funny, a couple weeks, a month or whatever later, they had friends come over and the friends like were joking about it.
Oh like they
Made
saw the video.
Yeah, like my
Oh,
parents had showed them the video. It was
nice.
funny.
Yeah, like you kind of took like a break off YouTube, right? But then you came back with this like the Zoom Survivor thing,
Yeah,
which is, like really good by the way. It's like a
thanks.
proper because the episodes are like an hour long, so it's like a proper like series. So you must spend heaps of
Thanks.
time editing it, right? Like it must take ages.
Yeah. So I started YouTube just doing like kind of fun comical videos. But then I got to a point probably like I don't know when I stopped. I just like slowly eased my way out of it. But like last year, I was like, I really don't know what I want to do anymore in this. So I'm going to take some time. And then I'm just a huge Survivor fan. I'm just weird. And so I had this idea in quarantine to have this series and I did it in May and it was just a bit of fun, but then I didn't really count for the fact that it would take me so long. So for the past few months,
Yeah.
every spare second of my life has just been editing this YouTube series, which has been worth it because it's been a fun experience to kind of put together a YouTube online Survivor show. But yes, you're right that it's taking so much of my time. And I calculated it in terms of the episodes that it's going to take me up until about midway through December.
Oh my
So
god.
that's half my year gone.
Yeah. Well, at least you have
But
like
it's fun.
consistent like content, right? Like going out until then, or
Yeah,
like
I suppose. That's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your travel bucket list? Like, where do you want to go when we
Ooh,
can travel?
I know. Oh my gosh. So when I finished school, I decided to take a gap year because I was never someone that wanted to just like jump into a course for the sake of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so my intention was just to travel stacks and then I ended up getting a job. So I didn't. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
But I really want to go to, there's just so many places.
Yeah.
I really want to go to America, the States.
Okay.
And I'd love to do a road trip through all the states because I find that so interesting just how there's so many different, they all have like a different culture in each state. I just love that.
Yeah.
Also South America, I'd love to go to Brazil, Peru,
Yeah.
Iceland,
Everywhere.
back to Italy, everywhere. How about you?
Yeah, pretty much like everywhere as well. I think the top two countries probably like Japan and Mexico
Oh,
because they're like they have like
yeah.
this. I don't know. They have great culture, like great food. Just seems like a good.
True. They're up there too.
Oh shoot. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I feel like it's kind of weird to mention, but you did this episode where you talked about incest.
Yes.
And okay, I just want to get it out there that like we're both against it, right? I thought it was interesting because you kind of made that point, like, should our opinion like dictate how other people live their life?
Yeah.
And yeah, because like when you think about it, like a few hundred years back, like people would marry their cousins, and it was like completely normal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's,
don't know.
I honestly, I'm like, I'm scared to say anything because
Yeah.
this was like, I think a year ago, I discussed this thing about incest because we just automatically think, we hear
It's like,
incest and we think
super
that's
weird, but like, yeah.
horrifying. It is weird and it's gross, but it's like all these things, so much of what we do now was weird and gross once. And
Yeah.
it's just because we've adapted and got used to it. And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know, if you actually think properly. And for lots of people struggle, so I'm kind of glad you said that, because lots of people struggle, and lots of people that will be listening to this will probably be horrified too.
Yeah.
To look past that initial stage of just like, this
Yeah.
is horrific. There's the point, and it's, I don't know, I don't want it to come out bad, but it's the same. No, okay, I'm not going to mention that. Don't worry. Yeah.
Wait, what are you gonna say?
I was going to say, like, it's the same, kind of, not the same, it's very different.
Yeah.
But a similar kind of reaction to even things like gay people or even stuff like transgender and stuff, which the vast majority of the world is so horrified at, not right now, but was so horrified at, just because it's like, that's not how people see each other. That's not how the world is set up, but only because it's...
Yeah, I think you just need to have like
you know what I mean?
perspective and like, because everyone's like, raised differently. Yeah, like if you were in the same, I don't know, like if you had the same like family or like education as someone else, then you might not think the way you do. So yeah, anyways. Yeah, that's pretty much it from me. I don't know, do you want to add anything?
No, I guess besides the fact, just back to exchange, that if anyone watching this is like even considering like going, I don't know what's happening with exchange programs. I guess there's nothing happening at the moment, but I would 1,000% recommend doing what you can to go, because it is such a unique experience that you can't replicate. It was like, still to this day, the best experience I've done. Just so fun. So definitely recommend trying to go on exchange if you can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, everyone that I spoke to, it's like it changed their life, right? Makes you a better person. So yeah, well, that's it. I'll leave all your links down below, so everybody go follow, subscribe.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this chat.
Okay, cool. I'll probably just leave it there. Have a good night. All right, see ya.
You too. All right, see ya.